we'll work the hip switch tonight, okay? The hip switch is a little more powerful. There's only two ways you're going to go. You're either going to turn towards their legs or you're going to turn towards their head. You're better off to almost always, notice I said almost because there's no absolutes, but there's almost always turn towards the legs first, okay? If you turn towards the legs first, it's going to do two things. It's going to open up the opportunity to mount, which is what we're doing tonight. So the mount's going to be right there for you, number one. And number two, if it fails, it sets up hip switching the other way, much better, right? So if you fail hip switch towards the head, you fail that and you have to kind of basically go back to neutral. If you fail a hip switch towards the legs, all of a sudden you can go the other way and really catch them off guard. Okay, so if you develop a habit right now, and part of what I like to try and think of, I do in class is to help give you guys habits, turn towards the legs first. Okay, now what does that mean? So she's cross-side top in a classic hand position, and I'm doing something that I don't want you to do, but I'm pushing with my hand or my wrist. Okay, so I'm very, very weak here. Right here, come here. Here I'm strong. I could hold her up with my forearm. It's no problem. You're all strong here. Here I'm very weak and it's easy. Yes, so don't do that. If I'm pushing with my hand, that's easy to do. Go. There's no way I'm... If I'm pushing with my elbow, I could stop her from doing that. Go. I can hold her up. Okay. So all she needs to do is slide down towards my hand first. Slide your hip. Yes, and then now I move it. Okay, so instead of trying to switch right here, go to the end of the lever. Good. And then if they make it easy for you by pushing with the hand, go ahead and hip switch towards the... If they're using more of an elbow, adjust down towards the end of the lever and then hip switch towards the legs. Yes. And those of you on bottom, be careful with your hand. And on top, don't do a fast hip switch in the gym when somebody's pushing like this because you're going to injure them. So I kill the frame, go ahead and move it out of the way. Yep, and I'm in here, okay? There's a couple things, right? The first one, the most important thing I really think is that back leg. If this is down like this, he's gonna bridge. The worst place for me, the best place for Franklin to have his hand is an underhook, right? Underhook underneath my armpit, this armpit, yeah. This is the best place. And the more he extends that arm up towards the top of his head, just this way, yes, to just get good connection, that's the more dangerous for me. A little less dangerous, but happens all the time is around your head. In either case, they're going to be trying to bridge you that way, right? Yeah. You'll have the most leverage here, which is if I was teaching you the opposite, how to escape here, we would focus on getting this underhook, okay? So I'm going to work from the underhook to make sure I have good position. So the first thing I have to do to make sure I don't get knocked over is that right foot has to be engaged. My hip is off the mat, and I'm pushing through my right leg into him, so if he bridges, I can push back with my foot. I'd also, because my hip is mobile, I can scoot my butt back just a few inches if he bridges, and that completely shuts it down, right? The other thing is you'll notice my shoulders. So I've hip switched, my knees up against him, I'm here, but my right shoulder isn't leaning back like this. My right shoulder starts to lean back, even if I have good base down here, he can still sweep me. So I want to keep my shoulders as level as I can. So now he goes to roll me, and I'm good. So have your partner get that arm underneath your armpit and make sure that they can't roll you, okay? Number one is going to be this back leg, pushing off, moving your hip back, and number two is keeping your shoulders as level as you can, right? My hand is still here in the hip. Just make sure you shut that down back and forth, okay? Go ahead. You're not trying to make it fail. You're trying to hip switch towards the legs, but they're very strong. They have great frames. They hold you up. Okay, now you go the opposite direction. And as you do, slide up. Yes, your weight should be up here, not down on the belly. You should be controlling the line of my shoulder. Okay, so that's the last piece to put in. We're initiating by going towards the legs. We're trying to go towards the legs. For some reason it doesn't work. The other direction is almost guaranteed to be open to you. Okay, go ahead and try it. Your weight placement, when we switch towards the head, it should be the most miserable of all these for him on bottom. It should feel the worst, right? So when I switch towards the head, I'm not like this. Coach Lloyd's not carrying any of my weight now. My butt's on the mat, my elbow's on the mat, he's not carrying my weight. And look how low I am, so it's easy for him to make frames and to create space. Yeah. So when I switch towards the head, I'm up here, right? And now look, my hip's off the mat, You'll notice I lifted my elbow off the mat. Now he's carrying my, move around a little bit. Now he's carrying my weight. I don't have to rely on my hand as much because how deep I am here. And it's horrible for him. And I can keep adjusting and make myself a little heavier. And then now we can start to attack. So we're not going to work this position too much tonight, but when you do switch out towards the head, this is the way I want you to hold, okay? So make sure your butt's off the mat, your elbow's off the mat, okay? Try it a few times. It should be very uncomfortable for the person on bottom. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell for frequent updates because we're updating this every week, and make sure you comment and like and share our videos. We appreciate it, and we definitely try and respond to all the comments. And if you like what we're doing and you like the material, check out SBG University, SBGU, and you're going to see a ton more in much greater depth than what you see here on YouTube. Thank you very much.